Hey everyone, Julian here today. I'm going to be showing you how to make hard industrial techno 6EJOU, Nico Moreno, I Hate Model Style. As usual, you can get the full project files, samples, MIDI presets, everything from this video is available at the top of the description on my website. Definitely go grab that for $5. You get one of the best hard industrial techno templates on the market. This will help you take your tracks to the next level right now as soon as you download it. Don't miss out. It's a really good deal. Thanks so much for the support, everybody. Every little bit helps, but it's really about supporting you guys with high quality templates so we can all make better music. Link is at the top of the description, and let's dive in. Alright, so right off the bat, we're at 150 BPM. You know, a little bit faster, but it gives a really good groove for this style. And the first thing we got here is the kick. So this kick is made of 4 layers. A rumble, the main kick, sort of like a punch layer, and then this like mid-range rumble, right? So we'll start with the main kick. It's just this punch that I made. And then to make, what we're doing is to give that a little bit more punch, we have this. And then see, we bring in this layer where it's the same exact kick, but just with a bit of overdrive on top. And then we're obviously high passing it. We're high passing it into the overdrive and afterwards, so you get like this nice click. But the good thing with this is like if you try to layer together a few different kicks, like different samples, you know, you can get a lot of different issues like phasing and stuff like that. With this, because it's the exact same kick, you get like a very, very clean, layered, punchy kick, right? Because the start times are exactly the same and all of that. So we have those, and then what's also happening, so for the rumble, it's actually this kick. This was like a rumble I kind of already bounced out, and I sidechained that to the side chain up here, right? But then we've also got this rumble, which is more like that. And then what I've done, so yeah, it's a pretty standard rumble. You know, it's a kick going through some reverb into an amp, which makes it nice and big and boomy. Low passing it, side chaining, and then we're high passing it. And it just adds a bit more mid-range on top of. Like, see how when we play that with the rumble, it just kind of makes that feel a bit more industrial and a bit more full. And this is really important. You know, a lot of what's happening in these tracks in terms of the atmosphere and the texture is in this kick. So layers like this can really help, you know, push it to that next level. And then on the group there, it's literally just a high cut at 40 hertz, just cutting out the stuff that you wouldn't really hear. But this can really make a big difference. It makes your kick airy, and it's going to make your groove just feel like a bit more like kind of bouncy in the track. So then we have this groove loop. So this is a bunch of different layers, and basically what's happening is it's these different layers coming together. Like, this would kind of be, you know, there's a lot of tracks where you can hear this at the intro, right? Like, it'll open with just this, and then maybe a few bars later. Right, so I wanted to show you guys how to make these. And, you know, what you'll also notice is if we play the whole loop with it, and then if I take it out, you'll notice a lot of texture is missing from the track. So here's with it. Without. Right, so this is a lot of where that industrial kind of crunch is happening. So it starts with these 2 layers. So what these are these like industrial hits made with operators. So FM synthesis is really good for this. These kinds of sounds are basically made using like combination of FM and then distortion and reverb and kind of like just detuning that. You can see here, so it's a bunch of sine waves doing FM on this first one. Right, they're all at different octaves, and then we've got those detuned a lot. You can see if I put this just to like normal tuning, it's a little too much of like a lead, right? You want this to be nice and detuned and crazy sounding to get that industrial feel. We've got a pitch envelope, some reverb, distortion after the reverb, and then a high pass. And then the second one is pretty similar. You know, when you're making these, you can kind of make one, and then if you want to make a second one, just duplicate that first one and change a few of the things, right? So we've got this one, again, it's just some sine waves. This one's kind of detuned and set up in a different way. We've got a bit of a hard shaper on this one as well, and then some more reverb. The distorted reverb is really good for these industrial kind of rough sounds. So you hear what that does to the reverb. It takes it from just like... So we've got those, and then underneath those what's happening is there's a 909 snare and a 909 tom, which both of them have the same processing, so it's reverb, distortion, more distortion after reverb, and then a high pass. Same thing on the 909 tom, and that kind of plays with those. Right? It just gives you like a little backup hit. So again, it's something you might not fully notice, but it's that extra layer to where, like, if you just heard this track and then tried to remake this in the synth only, it wouldn't be as powerful as like when it has that snare under it. And same thing with this one with the tom. So then there's only 2 more layers in this whole little groove loop here. So the next one is this kick, and what this is doing is it's doing 16th notes. It's a kick sample. But then we're putting it through delay, we're putting it through distortion, we're low passing it, we're actually distorting it even more. Also, you can see this low pass has like a quarter note LFO on it. So now we're multi-band distorting it after that. And just getting a ton of texture. Then I have an auto pan to make it sound like it's being sidechained to the kick. High pass filter. And also this utility to turn it up, because this can tend to get a little bit quiet. But yeah, so this just creates a lot of that, like, you know, kind of running industrial sound. And this is really good too, because, you know, it's just using a sample. Like, it's something that you can kind of generate very easily from scratch if you just know how to put these effects together to get it to happen. And then under that we have this rave loop, which what I did is, you can see I took, so this was like a longer one, and I took just that one little like loop from it, and then we're distorting it. Another auto pan to make this one sound sidechain. We're high passing it, and then we're low passing it, and that just fits together with that to create more of that like industrial roll. And then when we put all that together, it creates that nice background industrial groove. And all we have on that, on the whole group there, is just a high pass filter. Cool. So then we have the main hi-hat. Pretty simple stuff. I'd say it's mainly just choosing a really fat sample. This is from my Ultimate Hard Techno drum library, and it's just like very full. Right? Like it'll sit right in there. Because if your kick is going to be this big boom, you need this to be like a powerful, like it needs to be boom, boom. You don't want like boom, like a little hi-hat. You need something as big as the kick. Then we have this little drum rack, which kind of plays with the hi-hat. So this is just some little background percussion. It's these 3 different sounds inside of here, and then they just play off of that, like kind of irregularly like that. And then there's just a bit of delay, some distortion, and then a high pass. You know, it's a good way to take some percussion, kind of make it your own. Then we have this lead, and this is super like I hate models. And a bit like the others as well. So what's happening here with the MIDI is it's actually pretty simple. Although if you look at this musically, it might be a bit confusing, because it's kind of like, it a bit feels like C minor, but then it's not, because there's that C sharp there. So what's actually happening here is we're playing in F. And the reason why this has the particular musical feel that it has is because this main note that we're chugging on here, the C, is not like resolving it to what would sound like the root note, right? We're actually getting the root note over here. And you notice it's kind of clever, because like I made sure that it ends on the root note. Like that's the last note that you hear, because really we're in F minor. It's going like, see how we get that? It feels very like resolving. So that's kind of like why that sounds the way that it does. And that's also why it's good to like have one of those Fs at the start, because you do get it and then you can feel the key out, even if it's subconsciously. Now, for the sound here, it's made with wavetable. It's 2 sine waves actually, detuned a lot. You can see like a lot. And then we have the noise unison, which can go really well with these sine waves, because it can take a sine wave to something, you know, pretty different. As you can hear, we got a bit of reverb, the distortion after the reverb. So let me just show you without that. And then with it. So obviously that's really important for kind of taking this into that more industrial sound. And then we have a low pass as well, which just moves around. I got some automation on that, you can see. So this just keeps it so that it kind of like, you know, flows with the track a little bit. That's a good tip actually, to keep your track exciting while still being in a loop. Then we have this operator effects. So I was trying to create those type of effects. You hear these a lot in Nico's tracks, like especially in Purple Widow, like that kind of like almost like psytrance effects, right? And I'm going to show you guys how to make that today, because there's not a lot of tutorials. So the way that it works is basically, first you obviously have to put the right notes in. You'll notice these are 16th notes, but they're not touching each other. Like if I set this to the 16th note grid, make sure they're like kind of staccato and choppy like that, right? So you get that and not like just all kind of one thing. And then what's happening here is it's this operator patch. It's not actually that complicated, but FM synthesis is perfect for these. Because basically you have the 16th notes happening in the MIDI, and then you can just like create this. So this is really just like if I just make it a long held out note. See, you just have that happening, and then the 16th notes work together with that. So to get this, what it is, it's a saw wave with some FM from a sine wave, which is a few octaves up, and we're automating that pretty, like you can see, that's really what's kind of creating the rhythm there. However you want that to sound, like if you want it to kind of like open like that, you just have to like, you know, dial that in with the automation on oscillator B. And then on top of that, the thing that really does it is this high pass filter. So here's what it sounds like, just the oscillators. It's close, but then when you add in the high pass, which has an automation as well, and usually you wouldn't think to do this on a high pass, right? But when you do this, it just adds that last little like kind of like filter movement over it. Which I should learn that from back in like the dubstep days, like, you know, using high passes to do like a growl or whatever. And yeah, you can actually use high passes a lot more than you would think to create cool sounds. But I think that's the key to this. Then there's a bit of delay, a bit of distortion. Not that much though. You can see it's only on 9%. Like here's without it. It just adds that extra push, especially with the high pass. It sounds good. And then we have another high pass at the end to make sure there's no low end coming through. And then the last layer we have down here is just some hi-hats inside of this drum rack. But what it is it's 2 different ones. So you can get a little bit better groove by having like, you know, instead of just one, you're getting like the nuance of those 2 different ones. And there we are. So that's going to be it for this one, guys. I hope you enjoyed. As always, make sure to like this video as well as subscribe. And let me know what you think of this video in the comments. Like I said in the beginning, you can get this full project file, samples, MIDI, presets. Everything from this video is available at the top of the description on my website. Definitely don't miss out. Grab it while it's still available. Thank you so much for the support, guys. But really, it's about supporting you, creating really high-quality templates that everybody can get, that are available right there for you, that sound as good as the pros, and will really take your tracks to the next level. So, if you want that, make sure to click the link at the top of the description. I promise you, this is the best thing you can be doing right now to take your tracks to the next level immediately. Thank you so much for the support, everybody, and I'll see you tomorrow with another video.